Good evening and welcome to the Words of Wisdom Distinguished Speakers Series. I am your host, Mr. James Thomas Sr., and I'm thrilled that you have decided to join us. We know the Super Bowl is on, but it's almost halftime, and in case you don't know, Kansas City is losing, so you may as well come on over here and be with us at the Words of Wisdom Distinguished Speakers Series. I'm so glad to be here tonight with our distinguished guest, and she is an author, she is an entrepreneur, she is a registered nurse, and we're going to learn a lot about her and the nursing profession and all that she has going on through her company, the Nurses Pub. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, on my personal Facebook page or Black Entertainment Magazine page, on YouTube you can submit questions via the chat room. So if you want to ask questions of our guest tonight, feel free to do so. And also, please take a moment to subscribe to the Words of Wisdom TV network. We'll be bringing you all types of exciting interviews and programming, regular programming. You don't want to miss any of it. Here at the Distinguished Speaker Series, we talk about interesting careers with fascinating people. So we'll be right back after our first commercial break, and we'll be back with our guest tonight, the one and only Mona Clayton, also known as the one and only Nurse Mona. So sit back and enjoy, get your questions ready, and we'll be back in 30 seconds with our guest. All right, thank you to our sponsor, Expect to Win. And you can watch the Expect to Win Experience talk show over at the Expect to Win TV network. But right now, we're going to bring on our guest tonight. As I said, she is an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a registered nurse, and her name is, she's actually an award-winning registered nurse. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast, the one and only Miss Mona Clayton. Good evening. Good evening. Hey there.
Good evening, Mr. Thomas. How are you?
How are you? I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and I'm just very fortunate to be asked to be a distinguished speaker. I'm very honored to be asked to be on this platform.
That's what we look for, fascinating people with interesting careers. And with that being said, I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go back to I want the people to get to know who Mona Clayton is. Where did you grow up? And give us a little background on who Mona Clayton is.
That's a very interesting question because sometimes I don't know who Mona Clayton is. But I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and actually, I was an A student. However, my guidance came from my parents, my grandparents. My grandfather didn't have an education, but he was an entrepreneur. My grandma she had like maybe a second grade education, but my family stressed the importance of having an education. So we couldn't come home, play around, whatever. We had to put on what was called our play clothes and get in the books.
Mhm.
And the thing that I noticed about growing up in South Central was the guidance counselors at our schools could not guide us properly. So therefore, when I went for some recommendation of what I had to do for school, I was told to be a secretary. But my mom,
Wow.
yeah, I was told to be a secretary, although I was a straight A student. But my mom interjected and she said, "Why don't you go to pharmacy school, right? They make a lot of money and all you have to do is put pills in a bottle." And I'm thinking, yeah, that's easy. So I went off to school without any type of career guidance. But what I didn't know when I got to the school up north, number one, I wasn't culturally diverse, excuse me, nor did I have the academics on how to study. So I partied like 6.5 days of the week. And of course,
Now
I moved out.
this was your college lifestyle, correct?
Yes, college lifestyle. I had so much fun, but I thought I could do what I was doing in high school, pass classes, and be that A student. But that wasn't true.
Okay.
And I found
Okay.
out really fast that I wasn't the A student I was in South Central Los Angeles. So that's very important to be culturally diverse. And so I came
Wow.
home.
That, that's it. Let me stop you right there. To be culturally diverse, because growing up in South Central, uh, that wasn't, at least, or it's not a culturally diverse area. When did you come to that realization? Did it take college, or did you go to college, hoping and wishing that you had been more culturally diverse?
Well, I really thought I was in South Central. Everybody was diverse. So I didn't know about other cultures. But when I went away to college and my roommate was Caucasian and I used her blow dryer and I had a lot of hair oil or grease on
Okay.
it. And when she came back, she was like, "What is this on my blow dryer? What's this grease? What is this?" So we both didn't know about different cultures. But of course, that was
Wow.
very hard for me to get a white roommate, all white school and not knowing diversity. So that's very important. Diversity is very important when you're going into the corporate world. You want to surround your children and anybody that wants to grow in a global way. You have to
Right.
be
Right.
culturally diverse. So
Okay. So you're away at college. Was this your first time being away from home?
absolutely, I stayed in
Okay.
like in that small segment of South Central Los Angeles, and I thought that was the world. And so if you don't know what the world looks like when you go out into the world, you're not ready. You can't
Okay.
perform as well as others that have been acclimated to being outside of your community.
So what happened with the pharmacist, the aspirations to be a pharmacist?
Well, I mean, after going and I saw the chemistry classes I had to take, and I knew I couldn't party. I couldn't party
Okay.
6.5 days out of the week. And I'm going to tell you, college life is so fun. You can get lost. If you're not disciplined, you're going to get lost in the party and the frats and the sororities. And when I came home, I just felt that I had to find myself. And I went into massage therapy. I tried word processing. I got my associate's degree in computer science. I did that. And I did a lot of extra stuff just trying to find my way because, again, I had no guidance. So I took all of these things. Oh, also journalism. I went to school for journalism, for business law. I tried everything, right? And not
Okay.
knowing, not knowing that all of these different academics that I tried would lead me back to nursing because all these skills that I learned from pharmacy, from journalism, from massage therapy, from computer science. It all came around circle for me as being a registered nurse.
Okay, okay, Mona. Tell us, what was the moment, the defining moment? You tried all of these careers and nothing nothing is working. What was the defining moment that made you say, okay, I want to be a nurse? And when did you know nursing was for you?
Okay, the thing again, going back to counseling in high school, they weren't telling us there's an opportunity to be a registered nurse. There's not an opportunity to be a doctor. There's not an opportunity to be a pharmacist. So basically, your family had to lead you or guide you to where you wanted to go because those are the people that were promoting you. Nobody in school would promote you in South Central, excuse me. So what I did was after trying everything, I was working at Martin Luther King Hospital in their trauma center. I was a registration clerk there for 8 years, and it was always something in the back of my mind that loved medical stuff because I come back and I don't want to date myself, but I would watch Marcus Welby, MD, ER, I mean, I was just drawn to all these shows. And then when I was at Martin Luther King Hospital and the trauma, I would just like, it would do something to me. Like my adrenaline would just pump. I would just like look at all the paramedic runs. The nurses were like saving lives. They're doing cardiac massage. They're telling the doctors what to do. I mean, these nurses at Martin Luther King, back then it was called Killer King, which was unfortunate because they were saving so many lives and people that were coming in were just practically dead. So I was the
And
young lady.
that's Martin Luther King Hospital in Watts, correct?
Correct. And I was the young lady in registration that would come back to the ER room and ask you for your address, your phone number, or make you a Jane Doe or John Doe, whatever. And it was just so intriguing. But then there was my friend who is my mentor now. Her name is Kendra Bell. And she was a nurse up in the ICU. I would sneak up there and I would just be amazed about what she was doing. And one time I saw her doing leech therapy, which she was putting leeches in the people in a cancer victim's ear. And I was like,
You
what?
said leech therapy?
Leech,
Leech therapy.
the little leeches.
With the little black things, leeches.
Yes.
Oh,
She had a
okay.
container of leeches, and she's just randomly, like it was nothing, just putting them in the patient's ear. And I'm like, oh my goodness, who are you? What? You're putting leeches in somebody's ear and it's not bothering you. And she was like the epitome of nursing. And I was like, oh my goodness, something that I saw in Kendra just made me want to do that. Like, I was like, I want to be her. And then secondly, my cousin, Melody, at the time, she was a nursing student doing her labor and delivery rotation. And I was in labor, and she actually pushed my daughter's gurney or my gurney into the labor room for delivery. And that was her first delivery. And she's been a labor and delivery nurse since then.
Wow.
That's been like 30 years. And it's the mentors that are responsible for bringing new nurses on, because it's what we have observed or what they observed that nurses are doing that makes it interesting. It's not like, oh, go be a nurse. It's something you're going to see in a nurse that's going to intrigue you to say, I want to be her. I want to do that, and that was me. I had no clue. I didn't even like blood. Like, I am the least likely to be a registered nurse. But it was what I saw in Kendra and Melody and those nurses at Martin Luther King Hospital. And it was like their intelligence and their critical thinking, and just, they had a lot of money. They were ordering steak and lobster. They were going to Hawaii and to the Bahamas, and they were like, man, money. And it wasn't just the money, but it was like, I felt like they had freedom. They had autonomy. They could just do what they wanted to do. And they were just, driving up in their Lexus. And I'm like, that's a career. That's not a job. That's a career. And I want to be that nurse. So that's what prompted me to do that.
Okay. So now you see some of the perks, and now how difficult, or was it difficult? I always think about medical people. I can never be a medical person. You have to remember too much stuff. In my line of work, I can say oops and correct it. You may say oops and it costs somebody their life. There is
Correct.
no oops.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm sure there's an enormous amount of study, and and you being, we left out that you're a single mom, and being a single mom, and what challenges did you have to overcome? You didn't just walk into nursing. How did you get there? How did you overcome the studying and the all that you had to go through to get to the position of registered nurse?
Well, initially it was my daughter. When I was a single parent, it was my daughter and wanting to provide a better life for her and needing to find a career to do that. So I knew that nursing would fit into that category. Number two, like I said, I've tried everything. I have a associate's degree in computer science. So I had already taken all my prerequisites. All I had to do was go in and apply for the program. So once I applied for the program, and the most challenging part is if you're a single parent, you want your child to do well in school. So again, I had that village that surrounded me, my aunts, my uncles, my mom, everybody who took over because they saw the vision in me as well. And that was the biggest challenge. The studying part for nursing is pretty rigorous. There are no oops moments. You can't go oops in nursing. You can't oops. I'm going to give a medication just haphazardly. You can't do any oops. You have to be perfect in nursing because, like you said, there are lives. But with training and education and just experience, you get better and better. Some nurses have been in the game for like 40 years, but there's always something to learn in nursing. Nursing is a continuous learning experience.
Okay. Okay. Now you're this registered nurse. Can you tell us about one particular incident that really made you realize I'm a nurse and this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Well, actually, no. I think that sometimes there are occupations and things that we have not acknowledged that's what we're supposed to be doing, and it just
Mm-hmm.
fits you. So
Okay.
I came about in nursing like it was like a glove. It fit me like a glove. Like I didn't have to fit into it. It was just something that I hadn't recognized that it was for me. And once I started doing it, it was just natural. So I didn't have
Okay.
any moments to say, well, I finally know I'm gonna be a nurse and it's it. When as soon as I got into nursing, it just fit. It just fit for me.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break in a moment, but I want to ask you this, Nurse Mona, because so many people right now we're in the midst of a pandemic with COVID and all of that, and a lot of people are saying still believe they don't believe it's real. They believe it's a hoax. I want you to take us, if we're standing there looking at a patient with COVID, what are we seeing?
Well, first you're gonna see nurses gearing up in a lot of stuff, which takes moments to put on. So you're gonna see nurses helping other nurses putting on gowns, double gloves. You're gonna have an N95 respirator mask. You're gonna have a mask over that. You're gonna have something over your head. You're gonna have some goggles. You're gonna have a shield, right? That's just to get into the room. Okay, everything, and you're gonna see nurses checking the other nurse to make sure that this PPE, that's what we call it. We gotta make sure
Okay.
that that stuff is applied properly because one moment, one instant that you go into the room without your gear could cost you your life. You can become positive. So you're gonna see that once you walk into the room, there are a lot of patients that are very scared, and it depends on the level of the COVID that the patient is experiencing. If you're gonna be in ICU, you're gonna see a whole different type of patient if instead of if you're on a regular floor. So in ICU, you're going to see a patient maybe laying prone or on their stomach, a lot of monitors. They may be on a ventilator. You know, most patients, all of them are going to be on some type of oxygen. Some patients are like not able to breathe, so you're calling the respiratory therapy a lot. So you're going to see that mainly it's breathing problems, a lot of fear with nurses, and a lot of fear with the patient. But that's the thing that's miraculous about nurses is that we have to go in and not look fearful. We can't be fearful. We have to overcome that fear, whatever it is, going into that room. So COVID is very real. People take it seriously. It is very real. It's a very sneaky disease because anybody could look normal, they could look healthy, but that patient could kiss or that person can kiss you on your cheek, and then you end up in ICU. So just
Wow.
take precautions. Your social distancing. Wash your hands. I personally wear 2 masks. So if you're going out, just don't take it lightly. It's still there.
Wow. Wow. So, for all of you that think it's a hoax, it's not a hoax. It's real. Nurse Mona, I mean, it sounds like you know what you're doing. You're on top of your game, and you were, according to my research, you were named Nurse of the Year. Uh, Talk about that. How was that feeling? How did that feel? And you were actually, I mean, that's a high honor to be named Nurse of. It's a high honor to be named anything of the year, but to be named Nurse of the Year. Uh, Talk about that honor.
I mean, it's always like you said. It's an honor to be named honoree of anything. And it was just the fact that I think because I won that honor is because the relationship I had with the patients and the passion I had for caring for the patients. I was in a small clinic back then, and it was very imperative that the patient care. Maybe they weren't getting the type of patient care they would get. Say, for instance, if you were in Beverly Hills, but I was giving Beverly Hills treatment in Compton. So once you're doing that,
Yes,
patients
yes.
recognize it, and your peers recognize it. And I mean, it was an honor to get that. I mean, of course, yes, most definitely, it was something that I'll always remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, the Words of Wisdom Distinguished Speaker Series with our illustrious guest, our fascinating guest, Mona Clayton MSN RN. And we're going to come back. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back and continue talking to Mona about different aspects of nursing and different avenues of her profession. So sit back and relax. And if you have any questions, you're on YouTube, please, or I believe, I'm sorry, Facebook. If you're on the Black Entertainment Magazine page or my personal page, if you have any questions for Nurse Mona, submit your questions, and we will be back in 30 seconds.
I'm back.
That was a fast 30 seconds. I think that might have been a little shorter. But we're back to the Words of Wisdom Distinguished Speaker Series. I am having a great time with Nurse Mona, and I've learned so much already. But Nurse Mona, I want you to talk about, okay, you're this nurse, you're excelling in your career. Most people would be happy with a career that they love, but obviously you wanted to take it to the next level. And in doing so, as a nurse, you started your own company, Nurses Pub. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Nurses Pub and your entrepreneurial endeavor and why you chose to become an entrepreneur?
Well, it happened like this. I was working at Kaiser Permanente, and it was just this fascination for nursing from the secretaries, medical assistants, nursing attendants, things like that. They would come up to me and they're asking me, how did you become a nurse? I want to be a nurse so bad. I just, how did you do it? And they were just drawn to me. So one day I came and I talked to a friend of mine, very close friend, and he encouraged me to write and self-publish a book, in which I did. I didn't know at that time, the book would end up in Barnes and Noble on the Barnes and Noble bookshelf. I didn't. But then again, remember, I was a journalism major and a business major. So
Right.
all these things are all
Right.
coming back again. So sometimes when you have some things within you, and if you don't discover them, they might just discover you. So these things were discovering me. I was not discovering.
Like that.
And so the book ended up really well, but still the students were still drawn to me. They needed this information, and I was the one that I think the Lord just picked to give the information out to the world, and that being helping future nurses become successful. And actually, I started Nurses to Rock, ROC, and what happened was somebody took my trademark. They know who they are. They took my trademark, right? They did. So
Yeah,
trademark your
things
work.
like that happen.
I
But
learned.
you didn't let that stop you. You didn't let that stop you.
No, because you know what? When they took my trademark, that's how I got the Nurses Pub. And the Nurses Pub became more global. And actually, I was able to separate myself from other Nurses Rock because people were
Now,
coming.
what is the nurses pub? What is the nurses pub?
I'm getting to that, Mr. Thomas. I'm getting to that.
I'm
The
with you.
Nurses
Okay,
Pub.
I'll catch up.
I know, I know. The pub is a community. So whenever you think of a pub, it's a community. So the Nurses Pub is a community where nursing students can be fed nursing. And by that, they can come and they can have mentorship. They can have drinks. They can drink nursing. They can have people, a lot of things that can happen in the pub. It's a community. So it's a community for nursing students and anyone wanting to elevate their nursing career. So that's what the Nurses Pub is. And
All
it
right,
is
all right.
trademark. For those out there, it is trademark. So, yes, I learned.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say, they can't steal your trademark if it's trademark. So it was a lesson in it for you to
Correct.
learn. Next time, get that trade. For all of you out there listening, whatever idea you have, get it trademarked. Get that
Trademark.
name, get that logo, get it trademarked
Yes.
ASAP.
Yes.
So,
And the thing about the
and,
pub, Mr. Thomas, the pub is where we offer resources. Though we have a whole uh, like comprehensive things for the students to enjoy. So we have mentorship, we have HR services, we have resume writing services, we provide scholarships, we provide seminars, webinars. Actually, we are a global organization now. We just did a webinar last week, and we had students from Nigeria, Jamaica, UK, did I say Ghana, and USA. And we're attracting all over the world. So this is a global organization now, and I'm very proud to say we are on a mission to attract 100,000 future nurses globally. So that is our campaign.
wow. Well, I believe you're gonna get there. You're gonna do it. What I love is that you you're in a career that you love and you enjoy, but you saw a need even within that career and you began to feel that need. Talk about some of the experiences in filling that need. Uh, any public speaking events, seminars, or being a nurse. That doesn't translate automatically to being a public speaker. Were you a public speaker? Were you a comfortable public speaker? If not, how did you overcome it and to become this leader of this global movement?
Well, I mean, nurses are actually public speakers because we are talking to patients all the time. We just don't realize we're public speakers. I never wanted to be a public speaker. That's just not something that was in the back of my mind to do. So, but because I published a book, you have
Talk about your very first public speaking experience.
to. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't even remember. Actually, it's been so long. All I know is that my first experience, and it's very nerve wracking to be a public speaker. It's like they say, close to death. And again, I say I did not ever have a desire to be a public speaker, but because I had published a book and I am a CEO, as they say, you have to speak in public. So the thing I
Yes.
did was I went to Toastmasters. I went to Toastmasters, and with anything you want to do, you want to be excellent at your craft. And I knew that was something that I needed to better myself, and that's what I did. I went to enhance my speaking at Toastmasters International.
Okay. All right. And from Toastmasters, you're an author. You have started this company. You've been recognized for starting the company. What gives you the greatest joy? Is it being an entrepreneur or a registered nurse?
That's hard to answer. Uh, Both bring enjoyment, but at different levels. Right now, I'm a teacher. And with nursing, there's like a lot of people don't know there's over 100 specialties in nursing. And I cannot gather any nurse that's unhappy in her career, because if you're not happy with what you're doing with in your nursing career, there's like 99 other
Not
things
doing
you
it.
can do. So I decided, because I've kind of learned everything I could as a floor nurse or a travel nurse, taking care of patients that are inpatient. I decided to become an instructor. I have my degree from Grand Canyon University, a master's in education, which I had never used. So I said, let me just try and use it. So now I'm very happy in my career. I am a teacher for LVN students, which is a different level of nursing that I've been doing, but it's exciting. It's rewarding. So in terms of the business, I love mentoring new students and helping students. It's working out for me and it's working out for the students. So it's kind of equal right now, since I'm teaching and I'm working with students, and I have the nurses pub and I'm working with students. So I guess I love working with students. So yeah, those two things
Okay.
together is working out.
Well, so that would Nurses Pub with you giving out scholarships. It obviously is a nonprofit organization. So, what would you say? I'm sure you rely on sponsors, corporate sponsors. If anyone wanted to become a supporter of the Nurses Pub and help nursing students around the world, uh, what would you say to them? How would they be able to reach out to you?
So our website is thenursespub.org, and there are areas of donations for us. We're on a $5 million raise for building resource centers in New York, in Africa, and Los Angeles. So that is what we're looking forward to. You can just go to the website, place your donation of various amounts. We are also sponsoring students in Ghana as well. And it's a very easy process. Please give. We welcome any amount of donation, and just looking forward to what's next.
Okay, all of you that are watching, you hear that. The Nurses Pub is on a fundraising campaign to raise $5 million. So we need to hear from Magic, Shaq, Denzel. we need to hear from all of you guys. If you know them, pass this video to them and say, you need to help Nurse Mona reach 100,000 students to become nurses in the world. I think that is incredible. And I love the fact that you put the amount out there.
Yes,
$5 million, everybody.
yes, it's in the
So we
atmosphere.
need people to give.
It's in
We're putting it in the atmosphere.
the atmosphere.
$5 million.
And we are building future heroes. We are building future heroes. So if anyone has ever experienced a nurse, a family member in the hospital, you know how imperative it is to have excellent patient care. And there is a great shortage of nurses. It's not nothing new, but with COVID, we see that it is true. We don't have enough nurses. And that's what the Nurses Pub is about, building superheroes, nurse heroes, to combat the shortage of nursing around the world. So please give any amount, not any amount, but a great amount. uh, and we appreciate whatever you do.
Let me say this, and we're going to be wrapping up, Nurse Mona. I was in the hospital a couple of years ago, and it's amazing. I don't really remember the doctor, but I remember the nurses. And I remember one particular nurse, and I don't want to get emotional, but she said, I'm going to watch you all night. She said, I'm going to make sure you're going to be all right.
Ooh.
I'm going
Try to get your number afterwards? I've never said that. How can she watch you all night? What about the rest of her patients?
Well, that's what she told me. So I don't know how or why,
wink,
but
wink.
I know she came in that morning.
Wink, wink.
Mr. Thomas, how you doing? But she was a wonderful nurse. So I don't know, maybe she went above and beyond the care she should have been providing. But
well,
I remember the nurse.
What I want to say is that shows how excellent she was. Because if a nurse can make you feel like you're the only patient that she has, and I'm sure she had maybe 5 or 6 more, and she was able to care for you in that magnitude and others, she was excellent. So that's
let me Nurse Mona, I want to share this story with you and with our audience. It's really a funny story. Same thing about when I was in the hospital and I had to have a procedure done. And they took me into the operating room, and these nurses were in there. So one of the nurses, she came over to me and she took me by the hand. And she said, Mr. Thomas, are you all right? And I said, yeah. And so she told somebody, turn the music up. Mr. Thomas is going to dance with me. And I'm laying there like, what in the world is she talking about? And she said, come on, Mr. Thomas, let's dance. And I'm laying there and I'm like, and they turned the music on and she started dancing. And the other nurse, I'm like, what are these people doing? Next thing I know, the procedure was over with. And I talked to the director of the hospital, and he cracked up when I told him. And I said, I don't know if that was their plan to take my mind off of what was about to happen. I said, if it was, it worked. And I said, you need to give all those nurses a raise. They were awesome. I thought they were crazy at first, but they were awesome. So I want to say I commend you as a registered nurse. Nurse Mona, what is your contact information as you are contributing? And I'm gonna give the first $100 towards that 5 million. So so you only need $4,999,900 now. So
it's on its way. It's on its way. Thank you. Thank you.
So, but how can the audience members, how can they reach you? Anybody interested in nursing? Give out your contact information.
Okay.
Your social media.
Okay. thenursespub.org. That's for the Nurses Pub. That's where you can donate if you would like to, or if you need any information about our services, our mentorship, or our scholarships, or upcoming events. The Only Nurse Mona. And I can wait. I want to tell you how I got the name The Only Nurse Mona, though, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I let my website, nursemona.com, expire for 1 day. And someone took my website. Again, make sure your website does not expire. And
handle your business.
And I get this vision of, I'm the only Nurse Mona. There is no other Nurse Mona. And that's how that name came about. But going back to that, you can go to the nursesremedy.com, and that's where you can find my book products. I have a new ebook coming out this weekend where you can purchase it. Also, we have T-shirts and things like that. The proceeds from those sales, 10% goes to the Nurses Pub organization as well. If you would like to get information about speaking at any event, you can also go to thenursesremedy.com. I think that's it.
All right.
Yes. But I want to
Well,
say
ladies
something.
and
I want to
gentlemen,
say something,
yes,
Mr. Thomas, about
go
you
ahead.
said the doctor, you always ask for the nurse. Well, as a registered nurse, a lot of people don't understand. We have to know just about as much or more as doctors, meaning a lot of doctors don't know all the different skill sets that we have to have, like putting in NG tubes or different tubes and things like that. But we have to know all of the medications, we have to know the procedures, we have to know the assessment. So our training is high skilled. So when people say, oh, you're just a nurse, no, we're a nurse and we know a lot. We have to know a lot just to, sometimes we have to check the doctor's orders to make sure that we're giving the right medication or the right treatment, because if we doctor orders something that's wrong and we do it, we're just as wrong as the doctor. We lose our license as well. So I just want to just make that clear that
Well, since you put
that
that out
nurses
there,
rock.
Nurse, since you put that out there, Nurse Mona, what talk about what are the qualification requirements to be a nurse, and you can even talk about what is the starting salary for a beginning nurse.
Well, the salaries vary from where you are. So if you're in California, I believe the average salary starting maybe 80,000 a year or more. But there are some nurses that make up to 200,000 plus a year. So the salary depends on the nurse and what type of skill set and how much they work. Because nurses, one nurse can have four jobs. For example, you can
Right.
do teaching, you could work at the bedside and have your own business. I mean, nurses are very hardworking people. So I know some nurses that make $200,000, $300,000 a year. In terms of the training, if you're coming out of high school, you want to go. I would suggest go to your community college and get your general education in, and then bridge into a university for your bachelor's and your master's. So, your general education is your health, your math, your English, micro, anatomy, and physiology. Once you do that two year there, then I would encourage going over to the bachelor's program. A lot of hospitals are looking for magnet skilled nurses, meaning you have your bachelor's or your master's. So you might as well go for it like that. Mhm.
Before we go, Nurse Mona, you have this single mom watching you. She feels like it's over. She can't make it. She wants to be a nurse. She wants to have her own business, and everybody is telling her she can't make it. What would you say to that single mother?
Get away from those people.
I love it. I love it.
That's all. I mean, I would tell her, I mean, if you have a vision and you want to do something, then you just do it. There will be naysayers. Those the naysayers are there to push you forward, not to discourage. So just make that distinction. When people think of naysayers or haters as negative, those people are really your pushers. They're to push you to say, look,
Yes.
you know what? I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So, in my opinion, if there's something that you really want to do, just get away, get it to a positive atmosphere. You don't have to sit around negative people, right? Just change your direction,
Exactly.
right?
I love it. I love it.
Shine,
Ladies and
shine your
gentlemen,
light on them. Look, shine your light on them. Maybe they'll start glowing.
there you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
That's how you do it.
that's how you do it.
Shine your light on your haters, push you to your blessing.
That's right.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us and our guest, Mona Clayton MSN RN CEO, author, and just all around good person. So, Ms. Clayton, thank you for being with us tonight, and I hope to have you as a guest on a future show. Come back when we get, and we're gonna keep this five. We're gonna get this five. We're gonna help you get this $5 million.
That's
It's
right.
coming.
I
All
agree.
right.
I'll take
So,
that. I'll take that.
all all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Mona, for being here, and I'm going to take you to the green room, and we're going to sign out of here. But, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation tonight. And that's what we do here at the Words of Wisdom Distinguished Speakers series. We talk about interesting careers with fascinating people. If you have any questions, if you'd like to reach out to Nurse Mona, you can DM me, inbox me, email me. All my contact information is out there. And also, don't forget to subscribe to Words of Wisdom TV Network. That's going to conclude our show for tonight. Be with us on February 21st for another exciting show. And as always, my prayer is that God bless you, be with you, because you are a distinguished speaker. Have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Live from Los Angeles, Words of Wisdom, Distinguished Speaker Series. God bless.